Basically, you guys don't know a lot about Hot Tub Time Machine. It's directed by Steve Kingston, John Cusack, Rob Corddry, Craig Robinson, and Clark Duke. And you get some cool cameos in here that I'm not going to quite talk about just yet. I am going to mention them in this video, though. But basically, it's about these four guys, John Cusack, Rob Corddry, and Craig Robinson. They've been friends for a long time now. They don't really hang out anymore. They're kind of just too busy doing their own thing. And one of them tries to kill himself, even though he says he didn't. And so they decide to go to this place where they had this big party back in 1986. And they go there, and that place is just a shit town. And Clark Duke is playing John Cusack's nephew in the film. He's playing... John Cusack's character's name is Adam. Clark Duke's character's name is Jacob. And, yeah, this town's a shithole now. And they find their old room that they used to stay in at this lodge. And they find a hot tub there. And they're partying in the hot tub, and they wake up, and they're like, yeah, that last night was awesome. Well, they quickly find out that something's not right, and they are in 1986, that the hot tub was a time machine. Is it the best plot in the world? Hell no. Is it funny as fuck? I think so. I absolutely love it. This is one of my all-time favorite comedies, believe it or not. I know I have a very strange taste. I know a lot of people don't like this movie, but I do. If you guys are fans of, like, the 80s, or, like, 80s rock, then this movie's a hell of a time. But basically, while they're in 1986, they had to figure out, how do we get back? They had to decide, well, can we change shit? Can we not change shit? Because of the whole butterfly effect and the space-time continuum and all kinds of Doc Brown shit. Speaking of Doc Brown, there is... Crispin Glover is in this movie, which, if you guys don't know, he played George McFly, which was Marty's father from Back to the Future. He only played George in the first Back to the Future movie, so it's kind of cool that he's in this little time travel movie also. Instead of, going back to the 50s, we go back to the 80s, 1 year after Back to the Future came out. It would have been cool if they made a little Back to the Future joke, like, hey, that dude kind of looks like George McFly. That would have been funny, but also in this movie, you get a little cameo by Chevy Chase, yeah, Clark W. Griswold himself. So great in this movie. I think this is a fun film. I know I'm personally excited to hear or to watch the second one tomorrow, even though I am hearing mixed reviews about it. But yeah, I'm a big fan of classic rock from the 80s and the 70s and stuff like that. And there's a lot of that in here. I'm a fan of the 80s in general, even though I haven't lived in the 80s. But if I had a time machine, I would go back to the 80s. It was probably my favorite decade, even though I wasn't there for it. But just all the stuff from, like, television and movies and, the stuff that we got in the 80s and, the music. The music was probably the best it's ever been in the 80s. And this goes for all genres. Not only rock, but you got rap was actually good in the 80s. But we're not here to talk about the 80s in particular. We're talking about this movie. Also in this movie, we get Sebastian Stan, who, if you guys don't know, is Bucky from the Captain America films. And Bucky ended up becoming the Winter Soldier. So he's in this movie, and he thinks that these guys are Russian spies. And there's one moment where he goes, America! And it's kind of funny, because this movie came out 1 year before Captain America, the first Avenger, did. And he ended up playing Bucky in the film, which originally he auditioned for Captain America. So that was a cool little moment in there. All kinds of cool moments like that. But yeah, it's a really fun film. I highly enjoy. You go on these adventure with these guys. Turn your brain off. This movie's not going to be logical and realistic, but it's fun. It's a good time. I laugh a lot. That having been said, I'm giving Hot Tub Time Machine an A+. High A+. Like I said, this is one of my favorite comedies. I enjoy the shit out of it. And the cast. So let's talk about the characters for a minute, because I probably should talk about that, because this is a review. John Cusack's character of Adam, he's basically your normal guy. Typical average Joe. Nothing too special about him. But his girlfriend just broke up with him. When he goes back in time, he's kind of conflicted on whether or not to break up with his girlfriend from the 80s or not. Rob Corddry, yeah, we're just kind of going to go through this the list there. Rob Corddry is an asshole, and he is like, there's even a moment in the movie where Craig Robinson goes like, it's like he's the asshole, but he's our asshole kind of thing. Kind of like Stifler. That's who he is. Rob Corddry is my favorite character in this movie by far. Craig Robinson's close. But he's just like, Rob Corddry is like this alcoholic, Motley Crue loving, which I love Motley Crue. He just wants to have fun, but he's also an asshole. Craig Robinson, we're going to skip Clark Duke for right now. We'll go back to him. Craig Robinson is this guy who's like married and he kind of just wants to live the safe, normal life. And he used to be in a band and he used to be a singer back in the day. So when he goes back to the 80s, he gets to relive all that. And Clark Duke, he is like a nerd. He plays the nerd character very well, not only because he kind of looks like one. Nerds don't really have a particular look anymore. I'm a nerd. I don't look like one. But he's like a typical nerd, and he's kind of like going on this adventure with them, and he's like, well, look, we had to do things a certain way, or else I'm never gonna be born. So he's, very careful. Yeah, that's the cast of this movie with the characters, the plot. I love pretty much everything about this movie. It's so fun. Is it realistic? Like I said, no, but it's awesome. I give it a high A+. What do you guys think of Hot Tub Time Machine? Have you seen it? Comment below and let me know what your guys' thoughts are on Hot Tub Time Machine. I'm on my way home, sweet home. Well, see you later.